Welcome to this video lecture in the topic Design of Wound Rotor from third unit Design of Induction Motor in the subject Design of Electrical Apparatus. So wound rotor induction motor, or it is also called a slip ring induction motor because of the type of the rotor is wound rotor or slip ring rotor. So the slip ring or wound rotor is having a facility of adding external resistance in the rotor circuit, so that we can improve the starting torque developed in the motor by having this external resistance. So that external resistance can also be used during the time of starting of motor, or during the speed control applications of the motor or braking applications of the motor. So this external resistance can be included for any application, as well as being it is a resistance, the power factor of the slip ring motor will also be better. So this slip ring rotor consists of the same as that of the squirrel cage rotor. It is a laminated core with a semi-enclosed slot, and it is winded for three-phase AC winding. And this rotor winding for small motors, it is having mesh winding. And for larger motors, it is of double layer bar type wave winding is used. And for motors of capacity more than 750 kilowatts, more number of bars per slot to reduce the current handled by the slip ring is preferred. So this type of winding used here is called as barrel winding, and it is also wave wind type. So these are about the types of rotor winding used in slip ring induction motor. So with respect to rotor design, we have to calculate the rotor total number of rotor turns, area of cross section of the rotor winding. We have to calculate. So first, number of rotor turns. So the actually in this squirrel cage rotor, on open circuit, the voltage between the slip ring should not exceed 500 volt for small machine. And for large machines, the voltage between slip rings can be up to 2000 volt. This criteria we have to verify while designing the machine. And for induction motor, the turns ratio, this is common, that is E2 by E1 we are representing in transformer. No, in the similar way we are representing the rotor EMF to stator EMF, that is N2 by N1. So that is E2 by E1 in a transformer will be equal to N2 by N1. So N2 in the sense that is TR by TS here. But it is total, so here TR represents total number of turns in the rotor and total number of turns in the stator. And the stator turns will depends upon this rotor turns will depends upon rotor winding factor, and total number of turns in the stator will decrease with the factor of this stator winding factor. Because in transformer there is no winding factor at all, because all the windings will be put together in the same limb of the transformer core. But in induction motor, both stator and rotor winding is of sinusoidal in nature, as well as the windings will be having short pitched. So this winding factor is defined with respect to stator and rotor. So because of this winding factor, the number of turns will be modified. So the stator winding factor and rotor winding factor. And so this ER by ES is equal to TR by TS. So this equation is very similar to E2 by E1 is equal to N2 by N1 in a transformer. This 2 represents secondary side, 1 represents primary side. So here primary side is equivalent to stator, secondary side is equivalent to rotor. So E2 by E1, like here we are defining ER by ES. But instead of simply N2 by N1, we are defining number of turns with the rotor winding factor and stator winding factor. So from this we can calculate the rotor turns per phase. So our objective is to calculate the total number of rotor turns per phase. So this TR. So TR is the total number of rotor turns per phase. So from this equation we can calculate it. And so the rotor ampere turn, so the number of rotor turns we have calculated, then we have to calculate the rotor current, and then so actually the rotor design includes, rotor winding design includes to calculate total number of turns and then area of cross section of the rotor conductors. Okay, So total number of turns per phase we have calculated. Then we need to calculate the area of cross section of the rotor conductors. This AR we have to calculate. AR is as usual, it is current by current density. Current density we are assuming it is 325 ampere per mm square as usual. And this rotor current we need to calculate. This rotor current we are calculating based upon this rotor ampere turns. So rotor ampere turns will be 85% of stator ampere turns. So rotor ampere turns is rotor current and rotor turns. So this turns we can substitute it over here. So that this rotor ampere turns IR will be equal to 0.85 times of ISTS. So from this we can calculate this IR. IR is what we need to calculate. So this IR we are calculating from this formula, and then we are substituting it here by assuming proper value for the current density between 3 to 5 ampere per mm square. We are calculating the area of cross section of the rotor conductors. So in the rotor design first, rotor winding design we have completed. In the rotor winding design, total number of rotor turns and area cross section of the rotor conductors we have calculated. And with respect to rotor is having is having slots and tooth, and in the slots we are having the rotor winding. So first we have completed the rotor winding design, then we have to calculate the rotor slots, rotor teeth, and then the slot width and teeth width we have to calculate with respect to the rotor core. So number of rotor slots already we have discussed to calculate the rotor number of rotor slots in the squirrel cage induction motor. The same is applicable to the slip ring induction motor also. Selection of number of rotor slots already we have discussed for the squirrel cage induction motor, that it should not be equal to 0, it should not be equal to plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus P, plus or minus 2P, like that. We have discussed certain conditions for designing the total number of rotor slots in this squirrel cage induction motor based upon the problems occurring in the motor, that is refuse to start, that is crawling, cogging, and vibration and noise. To avoid these three troubles in induction motor, we are choosing the stator and rotor number of slots in certain combination only. So the same condition is applicable here to select the number of rotor slots in this wound rotor or slip ring induction motor also. So total number of slots is over. Then we have to calculate the rotor teeth, the dimension of rotor teeth width we have to calculate. So rotor teeth width will be calculated by knowing the slot pitch and stator teeth width. And rotor slot width. Rotor slot width we are calculating by assuming depth of the rotor slot, certain value of depth of the rotor slot, so that we can calculate the width of the stator slot. Width of the rotor slot can be calculated by assuming the depth of the rotor slot. So this rotor slot, okay, depth we are assuming so that we can calculate width of the stator rotor slot. So once if width of the slot is known, by subtracting the width of the rotor slot from the rotor slot pitch, we can calculate the minimum width of the rotor tooth. Okay, so this is the formula. So rotor slot pitch is pi d by p is the general formula to calculate the slot pitch. So here pi and d means rotor diameter. So that is inner diameter of the rotor. So this dr is the outer diameter of the rotor. So then we will be having rotor slots. So this is rotor slot depth. So this depth of the slot we used to assume, and so by knowing this value, 2 times of the depth of the rotor slot is subtracted from the outer diameter of the rotor to get the inner diameter of the rotor. So pi d by SR, that is the rotor slot pitch. And so rotor slot pitch includes one width of rotor slot and one width of rotor tooth. So we are calculating the width of the rotor tooth by subtracting the width of the stator tooth from the width of the rotor slot from the rotor slot pitch. Okay, so we will be getting the minimum width of the rotor tooth. So how we will be verifying this condition is correct or not is by verifying it with the tooth flex density. So this procedure actually it is very similar to the stator teeth only. Already this procedure we have discussed in detail in the stator teeth also. So rotor teeth, the flex density again it is very similar to the stator teeth. So this is the maximum value of flex density in the rotor teeth also. This condition is also very similar to the stator teeth of induction motor. In stator teeth also the flex density should not exceed this 1.7 Wbs per meter square. And this flex also we know this 5m by 1.7. So that is the area, tooth area we are calculating by knowing the flex and flex density. So flex is 5m, flex per pole is 5m, flex density is 1.7. That is the maximum flex density can withstand by the rotor teeth. So by this we are calculating the minimum tooth area per pole. This is also similar procedure with respect to stator. So this is the minimum area teeth area per pole. So that is also equal to, by dimension also you can calculate the teeth area per pole. That is number of rotor slots per pole, that is SR by P, multiplied with the individual dimension of the rotor teeth is, one side is width of the rotor teeth and the other side is the length of the rotor teeth. Length of the rotor teeth is also equal to the length of the rotor main dimension, that is Li. So Li is the net iron length of the machine. Okay, so this Li is known to us. So by substituting these two value, so width of the rotor tooth which we are calculating from this equation here, so that so this width of the rotor tooth is what we are going to calculate, that is minimum width, because we are verifying this with the minimum, we are going to verifying it with the maximum flex density condition, that is minimum teeth area per pole, that is 5m by 1.7. That is also equal to, by dimension also we are calculating the teeth area per pole, that is total number of rotor slots per pole multiplied with the area of each rotor tooth, that is width of the rotor tooth multiplied with the length of the rotor tooth. So this Li is similar to the main dimension L, and 0.9 L will be Li. Okay, so this is very similar as in the previous cases. So on substituting this we are getting the minimum tooth width, because minimum tooth width should be allowed for the rotor so that this maximum flex density can be withstand. Suppose if width of the tooth is becoming reduced with respect to the reduced below this minimum width, then flex density will exceed this 1.7 Wbs per meter square. That cannot be withstand by the rotor. That means the rotor core will get saturated. So to avoid the saturation of the rotor core, we are maintaining minimum tooth width, but the tooth width can be more than this also. So from this we are calculating the minimum width of the rotor tooth, and actual rotor tooth we are calculating from the dimension, that is we are subtracting the width of the rotor slot from the rotor slot pitch. So we are getting the rotor actual minimum width of the rotor tooth. So this is the formula, by dimension we are calculating this. So this condition also to be verified whether the calculated minimum width of the rotor tooth is satisfying this condition. So this is about the design of the slip ring rotor. So here we have designed the total number of rotor turns, area of cross section of the rotor conductors, and total number of rotor slots. That is similar to squirrel cage rotor. Then the dimensions of the rotor teeth and dimension of the rotor slot. And then rotor core, with respect to rotor core, depth of the rotor core we are calculating by knowing the flex and flex density. Rotor core flex is 5m by 2. Flex by flex density is the area. So area is depth of the rotor core multiplied with Li. So from this formula you can get the depth of the rotor core. And if depth of the rotor core is known to us, already depth of the rotor slot is known to us. So by subtracting 2 times of depth of rotor slot and depth of the rotor core from the rotor outer diameter, we can get the rotor inner diameter. Okay. So slip ring and brushes, only the current density value we will be verifying. For slip ring and brushes, the current density is 4 to 7 ampere per meter square. For slip ring, it is 4 to 7 ampere per meter square. And for brushes it is 0.1 to 0.2 ampere per mm square. So dispersion coefficient equation is this, Im by Isa.